Ramadan is almost over here.
Yeah, definitely. Okay,
But we're alive.
welcome to our weekly talk show. Today is March 23rd, 2025. So today we have our guest here, Aisha to be Secka, who is going to lead us through this discussion on woman empowerment and the role of women in our political world. So Aisha too, national building, the role of woman. We're going to be discussing that. So you have the floor. Welcome on board.
Oh, thank you so much. And my name is Aisha to Biseka, fondly called Aisha. So just call me Aisha. That's what a lot of people call me. And I mean, that's the original name for Aisha to do. So I am a Gambian, currently doing my doctorate degree in education leadership at Ohio University. And I'm happy to be here today. And thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Ousman, for connecting us with Aisha too. I'm pretty sure many people are looking forward for this show because I'm getting calls, from different folks who practically knows you, and then they will look forward.
Mm.
Now, when you talk about women roles, the role of women in national building, Gambia is a space where we are not seeing many women in the forefront, and even if you look at the setting, our settings in terms of governance, our leadership structure, women are still lacking. Even in our panel here, we try and strive for women to be part of it, but it's challenge. Well,
Mhm.
so let's go in depth and see what are the issues, what are some of the challenges, and how can we improve that? Because without women, we can move forward in life. Women are always at the backbone of any society or any community. My organization was struggling, but once we started bringing women, the Gambian Youth Organization, we start to strive. We
Right.
start to move to another level. Um, and now we are kind of like I would say one of the promising organizations in the nation.
Mashallah.
So I have seen an example of the power of women. Yeah. So yeah, you can go ahead and give us and lead us through.
Yeah, thank you so much for the initiative and of course the concern in our contribution to national discourse. I think first look we really need to look at the social context of women in the Gambia. Even though we've seen women warriors in the back in the days, we have women who were running kingdoms and all that. But then I think our societies kind of I don't know how that happened, but then we kind of just understood that women should be at the back and allowing men to lead. And as Muslims, I think I'll just speak from that perspective a bit, that there's this ayah that says "Ar-rijalu qawwamuna 'ala nisa," men are maintainers of women. So men are maintainers of women. It means that men are the ones who should take care of women. But it actually doesn't mean that women should be behind. And at some point again, there is this ayah also that we always use that says women should be in the house. Women should not go out. Wakarna fi buyutikunna wala tabarrajna, until the end of the ayah. Like women should be in the house and not to be roaming around. So I think kind of our societies then and then allowed that to just integrate into making it an understanding that women should just be behind. They should just be. They should not be in the front, and should just allow men to lead. But now a little bit of change has happened. There's a little bit of a paradigm shift. But then again, we ask ourselves, how are we activists trying to really zoom into the issue of women empowerment? Because the way a message is being conveyed to a society also determines how well that society is going to receive the message. So we kind of come in with that big force to see men as our enemies. So any culturally backgrounded person will kind of pull back a little bit, because that is not the Gambians that we know, or that is not the women in the Gambia that we know. So kind of also families, fathers, mothers, and a lot of people will be like, no, 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 no. So it's this approach that we took. I think that is where we got it wrong. And then thinking that we just have to, like, okay, we need this, we need that, we need that. But then again, Dr. Hadinyai one time made a point where she said, we need to know how to negotiate, because these are things that have been existing in our societies. So we really need to know how to navigate through it in negotiating and then advocating for women. So it's like helping women to understand that we can lead, helping women to understand that we can do it, while also trying to have our partners to help us in our gender role. Came across this term yesterday while I was in class, because my research is centered on the participation of women in higher education leadership. And FYI, it is not only in the Gambia, even in the US here. So it's like, how best do we navigate through that? But again, the mental load, that is the activities that you just have in your head can even retard you from contributing or participating to politics, to national development. Because it's like, you have your kids, you bear your kids, you go to labor, you go for your monthly checkups every month. And I mean, I don't want to go down the route where we don't have a lot of men. I'm trying to help some women, but now it is changing a little bit. You have to breastfeed when you give birth. You have to take care of the kids. You have to cook for an entire family. Like I always say, once you sign the contract of getting married in the Gambia, you've indirectly kind of sign a contract of being the main. I don't want to make it sound negative, but the main bearer or the main responsible person of the house, a house of 30, a house of 40, or whatever. So to a point now, if I see marriage images on social media also, I'm like, do you know what you have signed into? Okay, welcome to the show. It's like, once you are married, um it is an issue. And then again, let me just dismantle it a little bit. In our society as women, um, once you complete, we've done a little when it comes to basic education, a little, but not much has been done when it comes to higher education. Even with basic education, it's still something that is ongoing. It's like, once you are in high school or so, you are actually asked, when are you getting married? And I always go back to my Fulani family, because my mom is a Fula. There's a prayer that they do for you every morning when you go around to greet the elders. That is, may you have a husband who will benefit you and benefit us. I don't know for whatever reason, but since I was young, I never said Amen, because I'm like, wait a minute, who will benefit you and me? So that is like indirectly in the subconscious mind of that little girl child, like, you should be taken care of. You should be behind something or someone. Like, so it's like we are trained that way. So once you are in high school, the next thing is, when will you get married? Once you are married, it's like, when will you have a child? If you don't have a child, it becomes an issue. Once you have a child, after 1 year, it's like, I'll come on, but what are you waiting for? When is the second one coming? So it's like, the role of women in society has literally, we all contribute to it, because we all do actually have those jokes around also. Say, I'll come on, but I'll come on. So indirectly, it's like, the role of a lady should just be taking care of the house. And once she gave birth, like I said, once she conceive, it's like, just as in the Quran, wahnan ala wahyin, it is suffering upon suffering, and then giving birth, taking care of the child, doing all things. And in the end, the question is, when will you have time to then contribute? When will you have time to participate? Or when will you have time to actually to even work on yourself, to get to that, to get that qualification that is required for you to be able to contribute or participate? Because for example, in higher education, you need a degree, you need a master's degree, you need a doctorate degree for you to be able to be a leader in the higher education institutions. Like the bare minimum is the master's degree. Now, if you get married at, let's say, high school, and you are in that typical society where you are the one who is responsible for the entire affairs of the family, when will you be able to navigate to even get your degree also? So sometimes it's a battle, it's a hustle. And if you are not that strong at the end, it becomes an issue. The other thing again is the social, the cyber bullying on social media, because our this once you want to get into politics, or once you dare to lead, it's something else. And a lot of women don't have that stamina for them to be able to just, like, you know what, rule a line between, okay, this is what I want to do and this is what people are going to say, but I will do it anyways. I will just continue. And again, also having that partner, that spouse who is going to help you into making you understand that yes, you should, yes, you can. It's like, my wife will not be this, my wife will not be that. Oh, you have so many responsibilities that it's like, how can you navigate it with your homely, your home responsibilities? And sometimes I'm like, it is her entire responsibility or our collective responsibility. So I think also having that diversion, or that entire diversion from our perspective about women, even in the home, even in the society, it's kind of the beginning of whatever we want to achieve. Because it's like, if we see each other as partners, if the husband sees you as a partner, the in-law sees you as someone's daughter who also have a life before coming into our lives, the sister-in-laws also help you to understand, that might be a little bit easier. But men are helping, and to be honest, some men are really helping. But also the issue is also, we have women empowerment, but we also have women de-empowerment. So sometimes it's also like women de-empowering women. So it's just like a whole uh, vicious cycle that we are trying to break a little, but I mean, it is what it is. I think I've said too much. Let me just keep it
So
moving.
thank you. Before I allow my colleagues to come in here, because you've really touched areas that are very, very important. And like I said, women are the backbone of any nation, any family, any spouse. Women are the backbones. Now, but you have made very, very important point here when it comes to childbearing. When you get married, they will tell you whether you're gonna have a child. When you have first one, you are it's been like a couple of years. They will say, "What's wrong?" Yeah. So this is happening. Even some of my friends, my colleagues, they have faced this problem. Some
Mhm,
some some people even go 5 years, and then now rumors started to spread, and perhaps the relationship, it goes into in the risk, because now they will say, "Oh, the girl," usually they will blame the woman cannot have a baby, because I've seen
mhm,
a lot of relationships that get messed up because of that. They don't even blame the man. They said, "Alamuso buka jinso."
right.
Or if you keep getting a baby girl, they said, we need a baby boy in the family to still carry the name, and this one is always getting a girl. I've seen all this kind of situation.
Hmm.
Always the woman is the man. But unless and until there's a medical proof that the man is, and most of the time is the man, because when it comes to getting a baby girl or boy, it's the man who did that. We all know about X and Y chromosomes.
Hmm.
But usually, we the men will blame the woman. So
Hmm.
again, like you said, woman has been backseat. Woman has been the one getting the negatives, all the time when there's issues and so forth. But the fact of the matter is, how do we differentiate, somebody, a woman who is going to be like a leader, or who's going to take leadership role, or who's going to be, in the system to contribute.
Mm-hmm.
That woman, that same woman bearing children. I think there is a big issue. I mean, there's a big struggle here. Because I'm a man, I know. Sometimes to do both is difficult. Like
Mm-hmm.
for me, me and my wife have conceived. I rather let her stay home
Mm-hmm.
because I feel like her well-being totally is more important than going out, to contribute.
Right.
Right. So this is, and that's why when you mentioned this earlier, we need to look at this. And women like yourself and other women who are in, position of, leadership, or position of, taking a role in the society, you need to know, should I take a break and focus on that couple of years, getting the family and get that out of the way? So that's number one. Number two, childbearing. I mean, child rearing. Rearing is even more difficult than having to bear a child for 9 months.
Mm-hmm.
9 months, you can be taking a child and you're going to walk with a child until you deliver, right? I've seen women who are in, having a baby coming to work, and they'll be like, "Why are you not doing it?" You say, "Oh, it's good for me. It's good for me because it will make delivery easy for me if I'm not, laying down always." Listen, I have 5 kids. I know this. I'm in this. I've been in this. I know, you know. So child rearing is more difficult, but there is always an issue in the West, and that this is happening in Zambia now.
Mm-hmm.
When these women taking roles are out there in the field, guess what happens?
Mm-hmm.
There's a disconnect between them and their children. And if they get babysitters, the kids started to even get connected to those babysitters more than the women. I'll give you a good example. When I was working at my project bank, my CIO of our technology department, she had to do a quick job because her daughter said, "Mommy, I won't spend no time with you. You are always working, working, working." She had to leave, resign because of that. And she's the CIO of our department, making chief calls. Because he said, "I need to go. I don't feel like parent anymore because my daughter is definitely disconnected with me. He's connected to the babysitter." So this conflict is what is happening now, even in the Gambia. You have a nanny. The nanny is cooking. Nanny is cleaning. Nanny is taking the baby. Do you know what a nanny is getting from that baby? That nanny becomes the mother. So I just want to leave this to you, how this can be solved in this world where we are talking about women.
Yes. Remember, I actually said I did mention partnership, and once we are partners, and even like you've made mention of you being a father of five, I'm actually a mother of two, and like I've been working, and I know sometimes it is not easy, but it's like, okay, there's something that I've signed up for, and I really need to do it, and there's this nanny or so. So now, kind of, Mr. Sawaneh, what you're saying is kind of like, you know what? Let's just close this discussion and just go to bed and allow things as they should be. Because with all the things that you've put forward, it's making it very difficult it will be a little bit difficult for women to navigate. And I'm like, let's just call it a day. He said it all. So this is the problem, and there's nothing we can do about the problem. But I know
That's why we
that
have you here, because I have seen this and I don't know how to go about it, solving it. And perhaps
so
That, like,
It's
yeah.
that partnership, that community support, that family support, and that helping of each other. You know, we have something unique that the West don't have. That is our social institutions, our social structures. We have our grandmothers, we have our families, we have all that around. So if all of us came together and see that we have an issue, we have an issue, and we need to help each other out here. We have a sister-in-law in the family who is up for good, and we all need to put hands on deck to help her. I think it might work, including the husband. That's why I made mention of partnership. So it's like partnering together and making sure everybody contribute your quota in making sure that woman that you have seen, whom you knew she is going to be something or she is aspiring to be somewhere, you contribute to it and you help. It's like not waiting for someone to ask for help, but seeing the need, just analyzing things in the community and analyzing and understanding that so and so needs help. And I believe she is on a journey that will yield something better for the Gambia or will yield better for the community. How do I come in to help? So unlike the West, where you hardly have this grandmas, these cousins, this aunts, this aunties, we have those in the Gambia, abundance of it. So we really need to start making the best use of it. We used to before, and we still used to, but also we also contribute to it at some point, because once you get married, it's like man la suma jëkkër am suma doom, just me and my husband and my kids. That's not the social structure that we actually know. That wasn't what we were raised for. So if you come into a family to say, it's just me and my husband and my kids, the family also will leave you to say, just you and your husband and your kids. But if you also come to integrate and see that it is a partnership, I'm just a part of a puzzle in that family, and we need to make it great, it works. So it's like all of us changing our perspectives, changing our mindset, changing how we are thinking, and then ensuring that we help each other. Because the 9 months of the pregnancy, it's definitely not easy. But the going and coming, going to work and coming, I can attest to that, that it is very, 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 very important. Because I think I always work until on I I think I left office right into the labor room for my last child, but it also helped at some point. But also, it's the amount of work that I had at the time, and and also maybe my family was also helping. I have a family that really helped. My mom helps, and then she understood the course that I am into, and then she understood what I'm doing. So it's like gaining that help, but taking a break. You've made mention of taking a break. As an employer as well in the Gambia, and being an employee before, when you take a break, coming back is really difficult. That
Why?
revamp, coming back into the work, you cannot come back as you left.
Why?
Yeah, because it's like you took a break for how many years, for how many months are we talking about it? Even the 6 months, for example. Coming back, I believe, and having an HR background, being an HR manager before as well, it's like I think we really need to come up with policies that that we will help women once they come back from their maternity leaves also to really. It's like a reorientation, trying to get them back onto the game again. Because once you take a moment, it's like taking years out of it. And for example, in higher education, which I am into, when you want to be an associate a professor also, there are things that you need to do. There are publications that you need to have. There are conferences that you need to attend. There are activities that you need to really document for you to submit your dossier to say, I am now fit for promotion. But then again, also, how can you get that if you have some break? So it's like sometimes too, it's like once you take a break, it's like subtracting, even though it is for a right cause. I totally agree, it is for a right cause, but it's like subtracting number of years in your professional life, and before you get to that leadership level, you are already retiring. And even when you look at schools systems in the US here, we have more female teachers than males, but we have more male superintendents, school principals than women. Why? It can be due to that taking of a break. Because once you take a break, to be honest, you are subtracting number of years, you are sacrificing your professional life, to your social life. And then again, also the leadership that we are talking about, then we can never achieve it because, like I said, there are criteria, there are qualifications, there are certain rigorous processes that you need to go through before going into that. For example, if you are a parliamentarian, at my age, for example, I'm a parliamentarian, if I should be, and I happen to get I have happened to conceive. In all honesty, I am subtracting let's say 4 months out of the 9 months in the parliamentarian sessions, because I might get sick, I might go to hospitals, I might go for checkups. Now I give back. How many sessions are there in the parliament that I would be missing out due to my that 6 months leave? So it's kind of also, yes, we have quote unquote policies that we say are equal employment opportunities also, but the implementation of that equal employment opportunities is kind of not there, because we said equal opportunity, but to me it should be equity employment opportunity. In a sense, if you hire a lady and she gives birth, she should have a space, or there should be some daycare um, um, spaces within that organization where they can have that human touch with their kids, and that go back to disconnecting with the families, because we are just hired, we go to work, we leave everything behind. But how about also thinking along the lines of bringing the family into the institutions or into the schools, where we have some section or a site in the organization or wherever that that your child is there, there's someone looking after your child, but of course you can have time to go and breastfeed and do some other stuff. That kind of helps. But Mr. Sawaneh, taking a break, to be honest, it's like just asking us to take the back seat.
Thank you.
Right.
Okay, so I would let my co-host Sam, Ceesay, and Ousman to come in, and then if they have any questions or they will have any comments.
All right. Well, thank you, Aisha. Really appreciate your time and everything that you put into this. I can see that you're very passionate about it too. So we appreciate your presence on this stage today. Um, I look at women as as very valuable assets in the workplace and at home.
Mm-hmm.
And I think before I get into the whole thing, I think there is a solution for it. And the solution, especially in the Gambia,
Mm-hmm.
the solution is the Minister of Women's Affairs, whoever is responsible for women's affairs. Number one, should be able to utilize the GRTS and create programs that they can talk to people. So everybody knows, for example, if they pick a fixed schedule and say every Thursday, 8 o'clock in the evening, the ministry will have representatives. It doesn't have to be the minister, but someone that is very good at what they do. Come on stage and talk about women empowering in the whole country. Because part of our problem is, and Aisha, you mentioned some of these as well. Part of our problem is the fundamental, psychological, and all of those mindsets, cultural mindset. In our culture, the way we were brought up fundamentally for women is some of the things that you mentioned. When a woman gets to high school, the moment they're done with high school, they start to ask them, society asks them, when are you getting married? They don't think of a future for women. They're thinking you should go marry. and get married and have children. So, but all of these can be done and achieved with the help of I'm talking Gambia, and with the help of our ministry responsible for women affairs. If they create programs to change the mindset of our people, because now in this 21st century, we know better. We know, I mean, especially if you travel outside of the Gambia, you are outside like here. We know better. We know that women can go to work. Women can do a lot of things, just like men can do. And quite honestly, women should be able to do almost everything that men can do, because you see that around the world. We may not see that in Gambia, but even around the world, you will see women that are astronauts that goes into the space. You think that that'll be for something that would be for in a Gambian mindset, they will think that is for that's a man's job, but women can be astronauts. Women can be masoners. I've seen women that are. I think I've seen one video for a woman that is an electrician in the Gambia. So we need to change that mindset, and to change that mindset, it starts with the government creating some programs on our radio and television stations where people can watch, and our elderly people can watch, and the young generation can watch and learn something to grow with, so that they go with that mindset. Because I have a lot of respect for women. I really do. And I want women to succeed. And I believe in equal pay for men and women. There should not be any discrimination because they are women, so they shouldn't get paid this. If a man with a bachelor's degree get hired into I'm giving an example, into a prominent secretary or a director role in any ministry, well, a woman should be able to get the same job with the same qualifications, that study the same field, and get paid the same as the guy. That's my mentality. And I think another thing I would say that I like I said, women are very valuable. In fact, if the government can take the leadership role and actually incorporate more women into the government, especially in the ministerial position, if we have more women in the ministry position, I can tell because of the nature of the women, corruption will be less in the country. Here's why. Women go with the mindset that they have a husband that takes care of the house. So the burden of the house is not on their head. So they don't psychologically, they don't think of stealing money to go take care of their family, because that's the responsibility of the father, the husband. Now, if it's, so you see a lot of guys playing games and stealing because the burden of the family is on them. The salary is not enough. They have all this responsibility of the women, their wife, and the children. So if they don't have enough, they will find other ways to find money. So incorporating women into the societies, into our government, I think is going to help reduce corruption as well, because they fear more than the men do. I see that, and like I said, it's just a change of mindset. I believe women can do a lot. And I'll give an example too, because it can happen. We can change that mindset. For me, the example is my late wife. When I married her, in fact, in those days, she was actually making more money than I did. All right. And despite that, all of that, when I married her, I still was responsible for my place, my family. It was the two of us, and then we have a daughter, and then all that. So I took care of my responsibility as a man and the head of household, and I did everything I needed to do to support my family. But because she also worked, she contributed to the house. She hired a nanny a maid to do all of our cleaning, laundry, because she also had to go to work Monday to Friday, right? Just like I did, Monday to Friday. And our offices are very close. In fact, she drops me off. I let her drive me to work and then go to work. When she gets off, she comes back to my place, which is even walking distance. She comes and picks me up, and we go home together. This is what we did. So we had a maid at home that she hired, and she took to her mother for her mother to train the maid just like how she trained her in terms of cooking and cleaning and all of that stuff. But she hired the maid, and she said she will pay the maid, not me. She volunteered to pay the maid herself. She also installed a telephone line in her house so she could call her mom and talk to them. And she said she will pay for that too. So that was not something that I did. So you see the contribution of a woman. And at least once a month when she get paid, she will wake up on a Saturday or Sunday morning and go with my younger sister that she also adopted and brought home to be taking care of our little girl, our first child. So every weekend she will wake up. I had a car. We have a car. So she will wake up and take her. I mean, she will use her own money and drive with my younger sister to the market and go do grocery and come home and eat and cook. So women do contribute. They contribute. Now it all depends on the nature. But if we can encourage women and empower them to be part of the society and encourage them to have the same rights as men, equal pay for men and women, and have all of that in their workplace, I think they could make a big difference. They can change. We need to get away from the mentality of once they leave high school, they need to go marry. Well, there could be a woman that is a very lucky woman that can come out of high school and go to college, get married, but still continue to go to college or finish her education and get a very good job that will also help her contribute at home. And another thing I'll add to this is, and I'll let Ousman come in, is, workplace need to be able to accommodate people. You all remember COVID-19, right? When COVID-19 hit in December 2019, going forward, it made people think smarter and work smarter. Everybody started to work. A lot of people work from home to avoid the interaction. I think when women are pregnant, they should continue to go to work back and forth to have that exercise of getting out of the house, which is good for them. But once they have the baby, I think they need to be allowed to work from home. After they take their maternity leave of 3 months in the Gambia and finish the 3 months, they need to have their work computer at home and be able to do some work and frequently take breaks and feed the baby. So they could be taking care of their baby at home while continuing to work so they don't forget everything. You know what I mean? But that will alleviate that lag of being away for too long and come back and not remembering a whole lot or becoming a setback for them. We shouldn't allow that. Society should change along with things. So this is where what I was saying. I wanted to add to that and stop here.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And I was smiling because I'm like, oh yeah, this is what you're looking for. Thank you for that, and thank you for helping your late wife, and may Allah grant her Jannatul Firdaus.
Thank you.
But then I just wanted to say, do you know, some men would say, no maid will cook for me, no maid will launder my clothes. You, the wife, should. It's your responsibility. So I was just like thinking along the lines, okay, this is what is happening too. And also, it would have really made sense for us to have women working at home. But for example, in the Gambia, we still have issues with our internet. We still have issues with our structures to really, it's like everybody will leave home and everybody will go to work. At 4, everybody comes back home. But if we had that, like you said, have at least the opportunity where women can work from home, have that internet facilities, that structures in place, that will help. The Ministry of Gender, I haven't zoomed into what they do much, but I'm like, what are they there for?
Is that just a name?
Yes. So, I kind of want to make peace with a lot of other institutions in the Gambia, but at some point I'm like, okay, we have that ministry in, but what else? What are they advocating for? What are they really there for? What are they really helping? Because it's like Ministry of Gender, and gender is not only for women, it's for both male and female, but it's like Ministry of Gender and Women Affairs. So it's like women affairs. I think since the inception, and that it is not just during Barrow's government, but I think a lot should have been done even since it was established. Like Ministry of Gender. Okay, But I think also the first question is, what is their mandate? Do they have clear mandates to say this, that, and that is what you're supposed to do, or this is what we expect you to do? Which it's there, but the new ministers that are coming in and out, do they have that appropriate training for them to understand what they are there for, and for them to understand the seat they are taking on? What responsibilities and what roles does it entail? Because what you're saying is very important. Having these talk shows, having this awareness, having all this, having this advocacy,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
should be there. But I mean, I've not seen much of that, and I think basically it wouldn't make a lot of it wouldn't make some sense for just us to have that women ministry of gender and so. But it's like, as a country, this is where, and this I would just say it to all ministers, and especially the Minister of Gender, you should ask yourself, where do you meet the Ministry of Gender? And where do you meet the status of women at the time that you are coming in? By the time you leave, I would want you to ask this question again: where have you taken us to? And where have you, what changes have been made, or what initiative have the ministry really come with to really help or steer the affairs of both men and women, but especially women? Because I think this should be the mindset for every ministry or every minister. Like, I am coming in, this is where I met the institution. And that also comes to like giving that in in inception report, where you met the ministry when you arrive. That should be there. They should have this report to say, when I came in, these are the structures, these are things that I found. So that when you leave, we can now get to say, okay, this was what you meant, but this is what you have done, or this is what you have not done, or you were just there for the name. Which I don't want to say that that department is for, but I think a lot needs to be done, and a lot of initiative could have been done. We have some organizations that are really helping to steer the affairs of women. Why not come and join them? If you know, we know government cannot do it all, ministries cannot do it all, but why not come and join those organizations? I always have this thing, and I always tell people, you shouldn't wait for somebody to call you on a national discourse. You can jump in to say, what can I do? How can I help? Because it's our responsibility, especially for the ministry, to say, okay, I saw this flyer, or I saw this, how do you think the ministry can come in? But also, if they go to your ministry to seek for help or seek for partnership, are you really open to that partnership to really make it work? So it's like a whole jumbling things going up and down. But if we are really serious about our development, we are really serious about empowering women, I think we should start. And where the Ministry of Gender could start and Women Affairs is at least having some space. We have enough room in the Gambia. We have enough offices. The Gambia, I actually like the offices because we have big spaces. Why not combine two? Alhamdulillah. Why not combine two people in an office? Use one of the space as at least a lactation room. Use it to say all women who actually came back from maternity leave, this should be their room where they should have their breast being pumped, or they will be breastfeeding their kids also. Or okay, why not put a proposal on the table, just as you said, working from home? Okay, we will make sure that we at least provide women who are in the government with internet for them to work at home if they reach a certain level, or if this is their condition. So all this can be put in place. But then again, also in the societies as well, like I said, we can hire maids, and that is also empowering women, because it's like giving another woman an opportunity to be employed. But how many of our families are really at the receiving point to that? And even as women ourselves, how do we treat those mates? Do we treat them like families? Do we look at them as suman bindan rekla? So it is kind of a whole societal issue embedded, but we can start somewhere. and
Yep.
start and started somewhere is trying to decolonize our mind, or not to decolonize. We've never in this aspect, it's like just trying to, like,
Change the
open up a
mindset.
little.
Yeah.
Hmm?
To change the mindset of people.
Change the mindset, open up
Yep.
a little, and say, okay, since she is working and she can afford to hire a maid, let the maid come in. Or since she is working and my sisters are at home and they are also in the house, they are also benefiting from her labor. Why not we pay the labor? My wife can be cooking during weekends, and my sisters who are at home not doing anything, they can be cooking during the weekdays. But it's like, as we always say in Mandinka, itelenada and futuola. So I always ask girls, and this is one of the reasons why my brother sheikhs will always be mad at me. It's like, Auntie Aisha, you are discouraging girls from getting married. I'm like, I'm just saving them. I'm from, quote unquote, civilized modern slavery. Because once you sign that deal to get married, and that 5 o'clock the elders do that khutbah, you have officially signed in to be a maid to someone else's family. So I'm like, let them take care of themselves first. So it's like women not empowering ourselves first, not helping each other first, and then going down. So once the government comes in, family comes in, women comes in, I think we can make a greater contribution. And then that's the time when we can talk about women going in for politics, because we've not even talked about that yet. we
Yeah.
just, yes,
Definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So Sawaneh, you're muted if you're
You're
saying
muted,
something.
Mr. Sawaneh.
Yeah, we have not talked about that yet. That's what we are gonna talk about right now. But before that, I just want to just make mention of one thing. I've had some Ceesay and what he elaborated on, especially from his wife contribution,
Mhm.
which was very nice and wonderful. May her soul rest in peace.
Amen, ya Rabbi.
And
Uh,
thank you.
but Aisha, you were mentioning like sister cooking, sister helping in the house, you know, partnership and so forth. And then some men will like they don't like their mates food, but they will like their husbands. I mean, they love their wife's food. So the reason why this area is a gray area, first of all, we are all Muslims, and then in Islam, fudu musona dara fudu baro kelala. Not like somebody doing it for her. I know this is yeah, you held your head a little bit there because this is something that we want to get away from. But how you gonna get away from something that the Quran already said? Musona dara fudu baro kelala. That one nobody's supposed. My daughter, like,
Uh,
I would say this.
Mr. Sawaneh,
I'm not trying to be like
Mr. Sawaneh.
I'm not trying to be
Okay, let
like
me raise my hand. Just as in the class.
no,
Let me raise my hand.
do you agree? Yeah, I mean, you put on a hijab. I'm pretty sure
Let
you
me
are well
raise my
versed in
hand.
Islam. You have quoted some
Maybe a little bit.
Islamic verses. You
Okay.
probably yeah. So, but that part you cannot deny that.
Okay,
Follow
let me
through
raise
about
my
it.
hand, Mr. Sawaneh, if you allow
Okay,
me
go
to
ahead.
speak.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Sawaneh. There is um I think we are not very good of politicians as women, but there are enough verses to really lock you guys into being our mates, to be honest. I don't know how we escaped that and we've reached to this stage, but I mean, it's like men. The ayah that I quoted was, men are maintainers of women. You understand that? So maintenance, it's like taking care of us and everything. And FYI, there's no ayah that said women should be responsible for the household
Okay,
chores and everything, right?
but
And
but but but
and,
this
and
this
wait,
this statement that I just
I'm
made
coming. I'm
is
coming.
this a is
And
this a
wait,
made up
and wait,
statement
and
or
wait,
not?
and wait. For hadith, when it comes to hadith, there are lots of narrations that said the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam does a lot of stuff for his wives, and he's rahmatan lil alamin. He was the one who is the best of all human beings. He did everything for them, cook for them, launder for them, everything. Why are we not having that right now? And that is why I even tell my brothers, like my sheikh brothers, that you know we are saying we are emulating the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, but at some point, are we really? Because these are certain things that he did before. I know some guys are really doing it, but a little bit of them, just a little. So it's like, again, we call it a futu baro, like futu baro. It's to what extent? Is at which point? And who really differentiates this futu baros? Was it explicitly spoken about in the Quran and the Hadith?
Okay, so where does it originate from?
It is our culture.
Okay,
Like I'm telling you, it
so
is our culture.
if it is our culture,
So,
you think
because
that
let
is
me
not
tell you
a
something. There's this hadith that have said, if a
I'm not
woman obeys her husband, pays her zakat, go for Hajj, pray her 5 daily prayers on time, and then protect her chastity, she will enter Jannah. So
obey. You see the word, the word
I
obey, you see
I
the
don't want
word,
to get into this
right?
Islamically
You,
arguing with my brothers
you
as I do with them at the
you
other
hear
side,
you
but
hear the word obey, right? You mentioned the word.
obeying your husband is obeying his commandment, like his advice, ala kango, ya kanta. Because as we always say, a man doesn't have anything except his kango. You
Okay,
understand? Giving him that respect. But it's not like you have to be the mate. No. It's
okay.
not like you have
So
to be
how do you see it? How do you respond to this? Sam Cisse, I will give him some. I'll put my brother in the spot here. How
Mr.
do
Sam.
you
Mr. Sam.
how do you
Just
expect
keep quiet, Mr. Sam. That's it.
Sam to go and work? Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, 12 hours, 10 hours, right? Do all of that. Sometimes working the weekends, and yet come home, take care of the bills. That's all on, like you said, the man should be the maintenance.
Arrijalu kawamuna ala nisa. You know, we are queens, to be honest. We're supposed to be queens. We
Okay,
like
no,
let
no,
me
no. I know Queens. Queens. Yeah, Queens needs work. Work. Work need to be done on the Queens. But I'm saying this is what James Samson would go and do all of that. Fix the car. Clean the backyard. Maintain everything around the house.
everything.
And this is one man, especially if you don't have children. And now come home, get into the kitchen. you know, doing some of the household chores, or majority of them, like you was just mentioning, it's just gonna be too much. So what I'm trying to say is that women can do this, because women, when they work, their money is their money. They don't need to pay bills. We all agree to that. Even Islam say that, like women money, don't look at it. But at the same time, the maintenance of home, I'm not saying that women should fully take care responsibility of that, but this one man cannot do all of that. That's why men don't live long no more, no longer live longer than women. Women live longer than men, because men are doing too much. And you know what? This body become wear and tear. Sometimes when you do too much, guess what? You can't fulfill everything. You
Mr.
become a mediocre person. That's why we see a lot
Mr.
of
Sise.
we see a lot of men, at the age of 40, they started going down 40, 45, 50,
Mr.
because
Sise,
again,
before you come in,
it
Mr.
is not
Sawaneh,
as
that is why
easy.
when I came into the room, I read the room. And in my first statement, I make sure I don't shoot myself on the foot. Because I'm like, whatever I say here, I will come back to it. I mentioned partnership. I mentioned
Yeah.
your role as men. Men are maintainers of women. And I'm still hanging on to that.
So would you go
Yes.
with this notion that, let me just put this way, because this also works out, and it's a Western way. Let women, let man take some of the responsibility, like people like Sam are good in cooking, taking some dinner, taking some of the cooking roles or cleaning roles, and
Right.
let also women contribute towards paying some bills. Come halfway.
It's a partnership. It's a
Yeah. So
honest.
because if that other way is not working, we can go to the Western way. That's how West
It's a
operate.
it's a partnership. It's
So
a
now
partnership.
what you are telling me, like, let's go through Western way. That's what works.
Let's be partners. You know what? We
Yeah,
let me-
but I'm saying that's how West is. So do you agree
okay.
with the notion that
Mr. Sawaneh, Mr.
we should
Sawaneh,
go
Mr.
towards
Ceesay,
the Western way?
Mr. Ceesay, I'm sorry, I'm taking your time. Let me say this. I
Yeah, no,
always
go
tell
ahead.
women
No, but I
that
just, before you say this, but agree with me. Do you want us to leave our norms now and become Western way? That's what works, so
we
that
are
our
not
women can be
leaving our
empowered.
norms behind because even our parents back home are helping our fathers with the fish money and all that. It's a partnership.
But
We
but
go
then
to the Narcos. Wait,
I seen people here and saying that I'm not paying any bills. You don't marry me to pay any bills.
Mr.
I don't
Sawane,
believe in 50-50.
Mr. Sawane,
You know
Mr.
how many
Sawane.
situations we have that here?
If we go
You live
back
in
to
the
our
US,
cultures, if we go back to our cultures, we have seen our mothers going to the gardens, having their own gardens, and bringing the produce back home for us to use
And
in the
rice
meals,
fields.
right?
Okay, I understand that.
We have seen that. We have
Right.
seen our fathers, even if they don't have fish money, nobody will know because our moms are there to back them up. And that is a partnership.
But that is not across the board. What are you trying to say? That do you believe in 50-50?
No, I am not an advocate of 50-50. Never. Man is
Can I come in here?
Look,
I
there's
want to
something
come
that
So
in.
I always
but you got to believe in one thing, either 50-50 or 25-75 or something. Because the thing is, we need to, like, for women to get empowered. I
I
agree.
hand over to you.
Yeah, for women to get empowered,
So
I agree. They need to have more time, be at the work, do less at home. Fine, but they also have to come up with other challenges that man is solely responsible of, in order to make it an equity,
Okay.
to make it a fair society.
Okay. Let me say this, and I don't want to be personal here, but I think at some point I have to, for the benefit of the audience. I am a believer of not leaving everything to the husband. And I am a believer of making sure that I contribute as well. Because I always tell ladies, um, the man at some point, because of Islam, can have the right to say, no, you are not going anywhere. If he has the heart and the understanding to allow you to go to work, you should be understanding enough to also contribute to the house, even if it is not mandatory upon you.
But if
Because
they are not, if they are not,
wait, I'm coming. Because this is your husband. This is
right?
your life partner. He is not your slave. He also have families and responsibilities. Remember, I told you, when they make that dua for me, I never say amen to it, because in my head I'm like, that husband should have a family, should have responsibilities, should have a mother, should have people that he's taking care of. I cannot expect him to take care of my family as well. No, I expect him to take care of me, but not my family. So it's like understanding the roles and responsibilities and understanding the limits, the financial muscles of your partner. Yes, he is the man. Yes, his money is our money and my money is my money. But I mean, it goes back to understanding the person that we are into something. We are building a future together. And with if it is to be on his shoulders 100%, we cannot reach to that level that we want to reach. So I have to chip in. I have to help. So long as he is understanding to actually get me to work. I am working, I have it. So why not? It doesn't even make sense for you to just leave the man to do everything. In all honesty, because the society or the current situation of our lives is everybody have things going on. Everybody have things that you need to do. And the economy system is just going worst. It will never be lesser than it is. It is just going to be harder as it. That is the world that we live in. Understanding it and helping your husband is key. It's very, very key. And our parents have been doing it. Our parents have been. So let us not say, okay, we are educated, we are westernized or so, and we need to leave our values behind. Remember, I told you, sometimes if our fathers lack fish money, we never know, because we have our mothers to back them up. We really need to understand that social institutions as well. But of course, also having that husband who is also going to help you to develop, help you to attain your educational level, that we have those husbands. But again, I want to say this, and I want to be very honest. Sometimes, too, I always say, we women, we are the issue. Because the men have one notion that if they help you to develop, at the end of the day, you are going to leave them. It has been happening, and it's been happening, and we are seeing it.
You
No,
already
no, I have to be fair here.
once a woman start making more money than men,
Mr.
I'm
Sawaneh, I have
telling
to be
you.
fair here. You know, we
Yeah,
need to be, I'm
yeah.
truthful. Just
I'm
being
glad.
on the
I'm
media
glad.
speaking
I'm
doesn't
glad.
mean you just need to hide things and just, no, fake things. No, we need to be realistic here. So if you want a family that will help, a family that will support, a husband that will support, that loyalty needs to be there. And even if you have money, no matter your money, you are still married, you are a wife. So it's like that maturity in drawing the line. I might be a doctorate degree holder. I might have a husband who is not a doctorate degree holder. But if I am in the house, I am a wife. I'm not Dr. Aisha. I can never be Dr. Aisha in the house because I am a wife. So let us draw that line in understanding that we have our roles and responsibilities. But also, it
This
takes
area,
real maturity for us to come together, help each other, for every one of us to develop.
yeah.
So
This,
this is my point.
yeah. This area we need to really dig into it.
Yeah,
But I don't
we
think.
can
I don't.
have some subsequent discussions on this, but for me,
Yeah.
this is my belief. And
This is
even
this
the
area.
women in
I'm
my
gonna let
circle,
some comment, but this area we need to dip into it because what you are saying, it sounds so great and it's very ideal. But how many is practicing it? Because I live in New York City, so
mhm,
I know
mhm,
what I'm seeing here. Women becomes they before they get money, before they get good job, get their money, everything is sweet. Once that paycheck become even higher than their husbands,
yeah,
guess what? Money
we've
changes.
seen that.
So thank God that you recognize that. But not everybody is like Aisha, who would have that take out that doctorate suit and in the house and put it on the side because right it's not. But this some of these people it still exists in the household. You can
It
see
is. Even in the
yes,
Gambia,
it causes friction. And then one thing man has, if you don't give him that the respect,
the respect.
then the man is nothing. So
Mhm.
I have seen situation where divorces came, I witnessed because of this area. That's what I'm saying. We need to dig in so that we can re-educate our women to be like Aisha's thought process. Aisha thought process. I cannot say whether Aisha is, but Aisha thought process because
Yeah,
it's
my
better
thinking
so
process.
the way you explain. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But Sam, you can come in.
Yep. So, I am on Isa's side because I believe in
You are
the
always on
saying,
the ladies' side, and this
I'm
is
always
very
on the
nice.
women's side.
I
Yep.
have to be somewhere, so in order to make the conversation, you
And
know,
we're gonna prove you wrong. We're gonna prove you wrong. Actually, and I will prove you wrong because what she's saying makes sense. And like I said earlier, I personally that's what I encountered. Yes, it is. This is a mindset, and people need to know to change the mindsets as generation changes. Back in the days, there was no cell phones, right?
Mhm.
If you have a message for somebody, you have to walk
Mhm.
to their place to go tell them.
Mhm.
And now generation has changed. Everybody has smartphones or cell phones. And so this is what people need to think.
Mhm.
What used to happen in the old days is a mindset that we need to change. This is why I suggested that the Ministry of Women's Affairs create some programs on national television to bring people up, to change those mindsets. Yes, it is true that we also have to think about women that have never been to school. They are disadvantaged
Mhm.
because they can't work in the work field. They can't go work in an office. They can't have certain jobs. They are limited to certain things that they can do. Go to the garden and go to the rice field, plant something. But even back in the days, our mothers have contributed. They went to the rice field, they planted a lot of rice and brought it home,
Mhm.
which saved our parents from our dads from buying rice.
Mhm.
And that is still happening in the Gambia. So the most important thing is before women get married and before men actually marry women, it's always good to look for the right partner, someone that really loves you no matter what. If you have that person that really loves you no matter what, and you love them the same way, when you get married, you will have sympathy and empathy for each other. The woman will respect the man. The woman will do her part, whether she's been to school or not. They will do their part to support their men. But yes, it is true. Religiously, we'll say, yeah, men take care of everything in the house, and women are there to do everything in the house. But if a woman has a good education and has a job,
Mhm.
and willing to contribute to the household, they should be allowed to work, and it will be up to them to. I mean, women, like I said, if a woman loves you, they will do the right thing. That's the way I look at it. They will do the right thing if they know that they're getting money, even if they're getting more money than the husband. They will still contribute and help the husband at home with something, just like my late wife did. She, like I said, she paid the telephone bill. She hired a nanny, sorry, a maid to do our cooking and laundry, and that maid was taken to her before we even got married. She hired the maid 2 months before we got married, and sent her to their home, brought her home to her mom, so her mom can train her how to do everything the way they do things. So she was that maid learn everything that to do what my wife would normally do. So and in terms of housework, cooking and cleaning and doing laundry and things like that. So and she was the one that hired and said she will pay for it. So I had nothing to do with it. And she hired the maid. She supervises her and she gives her the assignments and she pays her at the end of the month. I think that was perfectly fair. So she contributes to that. So it's one way or the other. If a woman is educated and been to school and have a good job, they should be allowed to work, and they can contribute at home. If they've never been to school, now they're limited. They will have limited ability to do certain things or function certain way. But however little they can do, whether it's gardening or farming or whatever they do, is fine. Now, if they're in the Combos, they may not have that opportunity. They may not have a place to create a garden unless they have their own property. If they are renting in an apartment, they cannot go do gardening. So in that case, the sole responsibility falls on the man as the default. The man is always the head of the household. The men deserve that respect. They reserve the respect from a woman and the law, and this will make a good family better. So I'm a firm believer that women should have equal rights. Women should have they should be able to work if they can work, if they especially if they've been to school. But at the end of the day, I think the solution to this is starts with our Ministry of Women's Affairs that creates programs that they can feature on GRTS, National Television, so that people can see and start to watch this program every week, so that it helps them to change their mindset, so that they understand, people understand what used to happen 100 years ago is not happening now. 100 years ago, we used to do certain things a certain way. Nowadays, that has changed.
Mhm.
And from my advice to the government, Aisha doesn't know this, but I have a WhatsApp group that I talked about, and I talk all the time. I give a lot of audios at least once a week, and it's
Oh
called
wow.
Solutions for Gambia. Yeah, Solutions for Gambia. I'll look for solutions for Gambia's problem. So, but anyway, one of the things that I did recommend for the government is, you see, we just don't have the right leaders with the right mindset. Sometimes that is the problem. But what Isa was saying also to address that too, uh, if how does the Minister of Women's Affairs really know what to do? What kind of information given to them, or training and all that? This all starts with the Office of the PMO that sets the foundation with job descriptions and functions for every ministry, and with the president, of course. But there should be some things that they can put together in programs as part of their guidelines, and it can be measured as KPI, key performance indicator. So when a minister comes into a place, here is some of the initiatives that they've done. and from the prior year, compare that to the current year, and then current year to the next year. You comparing year to year, they can see their progress. They can see whether they're doing well or they're not doing very good. So that's one thing. But again, ministry from the office of the PMO, they can put some guidelines for them to do certain things for women affairs, and not just call it women affairs, but you actually not doing anything for the women. You know, what are they doing for the women? I don't know. Maybe they're doing something. So it's important to set guidelines, to set things like that, and make job descriptions very clear as possible, so that people follow through. So that's a little thing I just want to contribute. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'll stand very firm behind women to support them to make sure that they have equal rights.
Okay, so in that, with that note, I you have dragged me. For the sake of conversation, somebody has to be on the other side too, just to make the conversation go smoothly and challenging. But you have dragged me towards your pool. I think too, women should be empowered with all the tools
Right.
necessary.
Yep.
I think like I said, if you married, we all have been married before, so you would notice that there's a balance.
Mm-hmm.
If I see that my spouse is you want to achieve something, I should be supportive. I should make sure that I leverage time, you know, whereby when she's at work or she's studying, home is taken care of by either myself or the children taking parts in the roles of the household work, like cleaning and if you don't know how to cook, but at least you can make preparation for things to be easier. And again, if you even like I said in the Gambia, we usually do it. Have nannies helped out. Those things are also important. But what I want when it comes to childbearing, that is a different approach that I will encourage, which I would think that women should put a really big be cautious about that because I mean, unless you don't want a child, but if you're looking to have a children, which is one of the reason why many people get married is to bring up children to actually develop and then also become a future our future leaders and so forth. So I think in that aspect, a woman should really plan with their spouse um, how to go about that because that is very important. That is a very difficult time because I've been through it. I know how challenging, especially in the West, because somebody has to be there with the children. Like the children cannot take themselves, in this dangerous, environment. I have to take my Saturdays off to make sure that all my kids' sports are taken care of. Sam also. My wife will be doing something else, but that will take the responsibility because Sika will be doing that too. You
Oh.
understand?
Mhm.
So those are the collaborative and partnership things that we need to do. Like I have my kids mostly boys, but we train them to know how to wash dishes, to know how to clean and mop, to know how to clean the bathroom so that you know my daughter and my wife since they are like we have more boys so that the boys can complement that effort where they will be trying to do they don't have to wash dishes because remember you have a family of that size you know how many times they eat and how many bowls they mess up a day so I took that responsibility to spearhead that with the boys, and we take care of that. So those things are very important, so the woman can have more time to pursue career. And I know we didn't talk about politics as such, but Aisha mentioned one thing because the benefit of time, women are sometimes bullied or sometimes get like offense. I mean like they get worried about offensive challenges when they want to run for offices or when you want to do something. I'll take an example of Mary Socks when he first came out,
Right.
like the attack that were done on her because she's a
Mhm.
woman.
Mhm.
And, I witnessed that and it touched my heart,
Mhm.
which I don't think she deserved that. That is gender discrimination. So I think women should be given more roles. Like I said, somebody mentioned, I think it's Sam, when women are in position of power, they're more trustworthy in
Mhm.
the sense that, like Sam mentioned a very important point. They don't have the
Yeah.
need to be corrupt that much because they don't have the burden of responsibility that
Yeah.
is forcing them. Us men, mostly we hear corrupt folks, mostly are men. How many women you see, even in the Gambia or outside Gambia, that had been busted of massive corruption and embezzlement? Very, very, I mean, it's not that many.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very.
So that gives women really a leverage, to be in position of power. Another thing I notice also, women take the job seriously. If you put a woman in the position of power, like we can see how serious Aisha has been taking this issue that we are talking about. Women are more passionate with their work. When they're in the position of power, they are more strict, and that's why when you have a female boss, you tend to the guys tend to have it really tough because the women tend to muscle up their power in position, so they know that listen, I'm a female, but I am this. So I think we need that. If
Mhm.
you look at Rwanda, for example, Rwanda's government and the cabinets and the government, there's a lot of women there.
Right.
No wonder why Rwanda has been really, really, spearheading in developments when it comes to Africa. So you can name, you can give examples and examples like that. So I think in the times of politics, we should be really giving chance to women to run for political offices, to run for National Assembly, to
Mhm.
even have a woman president. It's all possible because you know why? They take their work seriously. Like Sam said, they are more less corrupt, and also women also like have this feeling, not to hurt, in most cases. But us men is definitely a different circumstances, and we have been failing. Look at how many failures we've been through, even in the Gambia alone, and how many male presidents we have, how many male dominated cabinet we have, male dominated national assembly we have. If I am a position of power, most of my folks will be women. I'm telling you, man, it will be 60, 40, or 75, 20, or 75, 25. More women than men. So I think we are in that generation. Let's not look at um the whole philosophy of women being underperforming or women are just meant for home.
Mhm.
No. And my daughter is going to college, and I told her, listen, pursue your education to the highest. I will support you on it. I told my sisters, I told everybody around me, you don't have to be a female or a male. You just gotta be, somebody with determination and prove that you can do it.
Right.
Now, the way you go about it, the way you go about it with your family is on you. So that being said, this is my stand. But again, for the sake of discussion, I like to give Aisha her time, just like I always do. Usually Sam is the one who goes on the other side, but I usually come, different because again, I have to be fulfilling some areas so the debate can be this thing. But definitely, I agree with you guys.
Right.
And I can let you guys have your final words. Sam, we can start with you, and Isa can close us up because it's a little more after 1 hour. And I really, really appreciate this discussion.
Yep, absolutely. As part of women empowerment and also women in politics is very, very important. I think I'll go back to what I said earlier. I think if the government, like I said before, we just sometimes when I look at things, we have the wrong leaders. We have the wrong leaders that don't have the right mindset for our country. But and I did mention this before. You see, Gamcell should be government owned and never privatized. And here are some of the reasons and some of the benefits.
Mhm.
I said earlier, when women take maternity leave, so that they don't take that long break and stay away for more than 6 months and kind of forget what they do. I think they are entitled to their 3 month maternity leave once they have that. Women should be, especially those who hold office jobs, that perform most of their jobs electronically. And we should move from pen and paper to electronic anyway. I've said that 100 times. So when women have those positions and they're in office, and most of their job get done in the office. So what really should happen is GAMTEL should install high-speed internet in that person's house that works for the government, and allow women to be able to work from home and breastfeed their kids until they are at least 1 year old before they go back to the office. And that bill will be paid by the ministry of that woman's office, should pay that bill. And if they use GAMTEL, all that money gets billed to GAMTEL, or GAMTEL bill them to the ministry, just like they would bill their office and all this stuff. And that money comes back to our country. It helps build our economy rather than different people taking different carriers, food carriers like AfriCell is, QCell is there. But every government official really should have, every government building should be GAMTEL cell phone, should be using GAMTEL cell phones and using their internet as well. And when women take maternity leave, women that work in office in high positions, let's say from a permanent secretary level up, they should be able to have a government-owned installed internet at their home that the government pays for, so that they can do their work at home. And this is all empowering women, to encourage them to do their job, to encourage them to be in the workforce and help us, because our country is full of corruption, and women will do a better job. That's all I would say in politics.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, Aisha, you can close us up with your final words. Thank you so much for your time. Again, this is beautiful. I mean, this topic is deeper than it has different components, but I would like I would like you to come back. We would like you to come back on different sectors. Two,
No problem.
one is like the issue of like women in the West, like why we having this many divorce. I mean, I don't know if like if you are familiar with that area, because that's the hot issue. Since you live in the West here at least for some time now, you probably would have familiar yourself the way why West is kind of like challenging when it comes to that. Divorce is happening everywhere, but why is this issue? I have tons of experience in this, people coming to me. And then the other thing is like how also like women people having their spouse out in a different country in back home, and how that relationship affect them. So that's another area. So there are a couple of areas that we can probably talk about, in women empowerment, because these are all part of women empowerment
Right.
and the relationship building. Just to sensitize our people, because there are challenges. Some people have, yes, here they have spouses back home. How does that work out? How does
Right.
that affect their family and their personal well-being
Mm-hmm.
and so forth? Yeah, but those are things that we will communicate offline and
No
see how
problem.
you, because I think you are well schooled in those areas too, perhaps. I'm just assuming, yeah. But go ahead, your final thoughts.
No problem. I will always be ready to discuss, since it is issues like on women. We still have that sensitization and a lot of things to do. And I really commend this media for not waiting for the government to come and say certain things, but at least engaging in civic discussions and then talking about things affecting us as a society and as communities. It helps, and it is really commendable. And thank you so much for having me. It's all about what we can do. And as I always say, we are all part of a bigger puzzle, and a piece of us will either make that puzzle right or wrong, and it depends on how we fit into that puzzle. No one is small, and no effort is tiny, and no muscles are tiny in this. Together we can work together, but unless and until we actually divert our attention from seeing each other as enemies, but as partners, as brothers and sisters who can steer national development, we can never get there. And we really need to be careful about the West as well. Sometimes they come up with these gender ideas that we think like the men counterpart are kind of our enemies, or are kind of bringing us down. But like I said, Dr. Hadinya did make mention how we can effectively navigate in negotiating our roles and our responsibilities can really help. And we really need to start thinking along those lines. To my fellow activists, let us help each other. Let us come together. Let us work together, and let us not wait to see who calls who or who doesn't call who. Whatever discourse that you see, whatever cause that you see, and you think you can contribute positively to it, don't wait to be called. Just reach out, because I mean, in the end, it's not for you, it's for Gambia. So I think we should have this idea, as Donald Trump always say, American first, but also Gambia first. How best we can help ministries, how best we can even, outline our suggestions. The ministries are not avenues where we can just go and seek for donations. There are avenues also where, when we have suggestions, we can book an appointment and then lay out our suggestions, or write to them, or say this is what we think we can do. And thinking about this discussion, I'm like, I've really failed in having my suggestions being sent to the Ministry of Gender, because these are important things that we could have been doing to help empower women, to help enlighten our society. Maybe they didn't think along those lines, but if someone out there is thinking along those lines, it's not too small or too bad to just send your suggestions and just put it out there. And I also advocate for, when you think someone is doing bad, instead of going online to castigate the person, especially women who are actually trying to excel in politics, in leadership and whatever, DM them, contact them directly, and then have that discussion, tete-a-tete discussion with them. But in our society now, we tend to have more, I always call it PhD holders, that is the pull him or the pull her down syndrome, especially with the pull her down, yeah, the PhD holders. Yeah.
No. I don't want you to tennis PhD holders, because I'm one of them. So I don't want you to.
No, it's like, no. What I say, PhD is pull him or pull her down.
Yeah, but don't use that scenario that with PhD, because then you tend to can
Okay.
contaminate it a little bit.
Okay, no problem. So let us not put each other down. Let us just help each other. Sometimes there are things that someone said on media, like for example, I might say things that you do not disagree with. Come to me and say, hey, Aisha, what you have said, I think it could have been said this way, or I think I have another perspective. So when we make our online spaces a safe space for everybody to excel, I think we would be able to have more women excelling. But like we have the Marisok's case, for example, people castigating her, even talking about her short hair. Does that have to do with politics? Does that have to do with our national development? We are looking at the brain there. We are looking at what she has to say, but not, whatever she has. I can be in the veil, but might be the worst person. She might not be in the veil, but might be the best person ever. So we need to try to give each other chances and not to just be castigating people. Let us make our social medias a safe haven for people so that they can come out and be bold enough. And not everybody is like Aisha, who wouldn't mind about what you say, but we have people who really mind about what people say. So let us just be accommodating, and together we can make things great. We can come together and work. It cannot start and end with one person. It is a collective responsibility. So thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
we'll get in touch. Thank you
Okay,
so
no
much.
problem.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much.
Aisha. We really appreciate you very much.
You're
Keep it
welcome.
up.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, brother Sam. Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
Ousman
Thank
for
you,
the
Mr.
topic.
Sawaneh.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
bye.
All right. Have a wonderful rest of the weekend.
Bye.
Take care.